reason we only do one set is because the stimulus you get with X3 is far more powerful than what you would get with regular weight training. And in nature, stimulus and adaptive responses of the body, it's usually one stimulus. So of course, some of you that know my background, bone density medical devices. I created a medical device called Osteo Strong, and that's all over the world now and helping hundreds of thousands of people build bone density. Interesting thing about bone is one loading cycle, one episode of force going through the radius and the ulna will trigger an osteogenic response, and we can see this through blood analysis. So within a few minutes after an osteogenic experience, the biochemistry changes and bone is being built. So this is how all adaptations happen. When you build a callus on your hand, when you get a suntan, nobody says, how many sets did you do in the sun today to get your suntan? That's nonsense. No one would ask that question because we don't do sets. So why do we do sets with weightlifting? We do sets because the stimulus is garbage. It is very weak. We hardly get anything out of it. So you have to do it over and over again to get everything, and also you're compounding joint damage when you do that. So why is X3 not going to trigger any damage, but also going to give a superior muscular stimulus and response in that one experience? Well, the obvious principle is variable resistance. So there's 16 studies that confirm that variable resistance will grow muscle faster. It also irritates joints less, if at all. So here are the principles, the variable resistance. So when I'm doing a chest press, 540 pounds here, 300 pounds here, and 100 pounds here. So a very steep variance curve. Now, that is in accordance to what my biomechanics are. So I have much more capacity for creating load here than I do here, and incredibly so more than when I'm here. So when I go through that experience, I'm fatiguing the muscle in accordance with what the capacity is. I'm also keeping constant tension. So never letting slack come in the band. In fact, when somebody ever says like, oh, the band keeps slipping as I'm doing these exercises, well, the band is slipping because you're letting the tension off and you're using the device incorrectly. So you got to keep constant tension. Now, bodybuilders have been using constant tension for a long time just to make sure the fatigue is profound in the muscle. Now, of course, it's more profound with variable resistance, but we also apply that constant tension principle. So you never let off. Now, from a central nervous system standpoint, when people lift and they lock out at the top, that's great for a weightlifting competition because that's how they determine if you've completed the lift. But in reality, you're turning the muscle on, you're turning the muscle off, you're turning the muscle on, you're turning the muscle off. It's a confusing stimulus, so no growth happens. So when you're using X3 or you're trying to grow, don't do that. Constant tension. The other thing we do in the protocol is diminishing range. So the first repetitions go here, not to lockout, but to about right here, just short of lockout. And they're full range repetitions until I can't get to that powerful position, the strongest range. Then my range shortens and I go half repetitions. And then I can't do that anymore. And then my last few repetitions might only be an inch or two. And that provides a complete stimulus of the muscle, a complete evacuation of ATP, glycogen, and creatine phosphate, a complete fatigue of myofibril structure within the cell. So you're stimulating both types of growth to the maximum degree in every experience. Now, when the set is over, yes, you are exhausted. You'll also notice that as you grow much larger muscle, which happens very quickly with X3, the larger the muscles become, the more exhausted you'll be because a larger muscle has a greater blood demand. With one set, we accomplish more than multiple sets with regular weight training. That's why we do one set. Now, when you're done with your set, we get the question very frequently, how long do you rest for? It's really just until you catch your breath. Now, that might be a little longer than what you're used to because this is an incredibly powerful stimulus. But once you catch your breath and your breathing rate goes back to normal, which says your heart rate has gone back to normal, go ahead and do your next set.